What it do, Israelite family? What it do, what it do, what it do? Brother Judah Israel once again with a couple of words to share with y'all, family, with what's on my mind. And I'm going to call this, he who touches Israel touches the apple of Yah's eye. All the trouble with these nations that they're having right now, and they don't even understand why they're having so much trouble in the world. It's because at once upon a time, they have all touched the apple of Yah's eye. They've had their way with trying to destroy the Israelites, the so-called Negroes around the world. All the nations involved with the United Nations, all those BRIC nations, all the nations that make up the EU, all of those nations took part in bringing down the Israelites at one time, at one point or another throughout history. That's right, the Spaniards, the Portuguese, the Dutch, Americans, England, France, Germany, all of them at one point or another has taken part and taken down the Israelites, the apple of Yah's eye. So I have also a couple of scriptures to share with you, family, to clarify this. You know, and I just saw on TV momentarily ago that that was a federal officer involved shooting in South Minneapolis. And so, you know, they just sent about 2,000 more federal officers to Minnesota, and particularly Minneapolis mostly, where there's a large population of Somalians there. And, you know, they're trying to arrest all of them who are in the country illegally. So this whole nation is being shook up, you know, from one thing to the next. I was just seeing something on YouTube a couple of days ago that in Europe, you know, they're bombing buildings. They burnt up like 37 hotels, and you know, they're throwing Molotov cocktails at emergency vehicles, police cars and stuff like that. And so, you know, this trouble is just starting to accumulate all over the world. Protests everywhere. And they don't even know why, but it's because at one point or another throughout history, they all have had a hand and taken down the apple of Yah's eye, family. Okay, I got a scripture here I'm going to share with y'all. The first one will be Zechariah chapter 2, verse 8. Zechariah chapter 2, verse 8. And I also took a glance at Brother Willie D. I saw one of his videos entitled that the BRIC nations have bypassed the blockade that America had for Venezuela. So the BRIC nation ships have sailed past the blockade. I didn't watch the video because I was getting ready to do my own, but I'll check it out later. And so, I mean, they don't respect the blockade that America has as far as like around the area of Venezuela, is because Trump said that he has not declared war against Venezuela. So the rest of the countries in the world that do business with Venezuela, as far as like oil and stuff, they're going to bypass this blockade because that is, Trump said that he has not declared war against Venezuela. So why should the nations respect the blockade? To them, America just got ships and boats out there and stuff for the heck of it. So, I mean, like I said, I haven't watched the video yet, but I'll go and check it out later. You know what I'm saying? But all these nations, I mean, and Trump, he's not in control of this, family. He's not in control. Yah is just using him to shake the nations up. And it's because they have touched the apple of Yah's eye for way too long. And he's starting to, you know, he's starting to shake their heaven up, because this world is their heaven. They're on all the top of all the nations, you know, with everything. They own all the land, you know what I'm saying? But Yah has let us know that he has turned back to us, you know, and we're receiving the spiritual knowledge of things first, and the physical stuff will come afterwards, but always the spiritual things are first. Okay, that's Zechariah chapter 2, verse 8, I said. Zechariah chapter 2, verse 8. It says here, "For thus saith the Adonai of hosts, after the glory after the glory hath he sent me unto the nations which spoiled you. For he that toucheth you touches the apple of his eye. So what that scripture is telling all nations, that when you mess with Yah's chosen people, the Israelites, the world called Negroes, when you bother us, it's like you're putting your hands on Yah. So, of course these nations going to have trouble in the world because they've all had a hand in taking Yah's chosen people down. From one point in time in history from another. So they are all, under Yah's radar, for retribution and recompense that they must pay. Okay, so of course he's not going to allow them to just continue to be peaceful with each other on this earth after all what they have done. And most of them have never tried to make things right with Yah's chosen people. They have never repented of it. In fact, it's like the way they feel about it is totally the opposite of repenting of it. To them, we're nothing. You know what I'm saying? So they're continuing to act the same way. What Trump is doing, trying to make threats about invading Cuba, Colombia, Mexico, Greenland. You know what I'm saying? But this is the nature of the Gentiles. This is the same thing that Alexander the Great did when he had a chance to be in power. King Nebuchadnezzar, Adolf Hitler, Benito Mussolini, you know what I'm saying? Napoleon Bonaparte. So this is their nature, but they're at the end of their reign. Okay, so whatever Trump is doing, and trying to perpetrate like he's got so much power, the nations don't even respect him. They're bypassing his blockade down there in Venezuela. But we'll see in time how things pan out with all that. Okay, I got another scripture, family. Okay, now as far as here's an example of nations that had called itself abusing, enslaving the Israelites before. What Yah did to the Egyptians, he said because of what they had done to the Israelites, our first captivity was in the nation of Egypt, and Yah caused them to be a base nation. He said that they will never rise up to rule the nations again because of what they had done to the Israelites. And so, even now today, the people that's running Egypt are really not the true Egyptians. The true Egyptians are black people. They're there, but when you see them with cameras over there in that land, they always focus on the lighter skinned Egyptians, the ones who are actually Gentiles that took over Egypt. But the black people are there, but they just, in the back, not being recognized. Okay, and the same way with the land of Persia, which is now Iran. All that land was occupied by black people, first. But when our people fell, he gave the Gentiles a chance to rule the nations, and they have messed up the whole world, the Gentile nations, And so, so another country that did the Israelites wrong, the Babylonians. And Yah said to them, that country of Babylon. Now, America, we call this the daughter of Babylon, but the nation of Babylon that took the Israelites captive, Yah said that nation will never, that land will never ever be occupied again. And it's still not occupied to this day. That land over there, it's in Iraq, and the Euphrates River runs through it. It's still, Scripture says that it will be occupied by jackals and, animals and stuff, and people will never occupy that land again because of what the Babylonians did to Yah's chosen people, the Israelites. And it's still to this day, that old land of Babylon, where King Nebuchadnezzar had his throne at, it is still unoccupied. They actually excavated it archaeologists and scientists and stuff. And so, but nobody's living there. You see jackals running around just like y'all said thousands of years ago. I watched videos on stuff like that, and he said that it will never be occupied again because of what they did to Israel. Now, this scripture right now, next I'm going to show y'all is, that'll be Ezekiel chapter 14, family. Ezekiel chapter 29, verse 14. Ezekiel chapter 29, verse 14. And it's saying over here, and I will bring again the captivity of Egypt, and will cause them to return into the land of Pathros, into the land of their habitation, and they shall be there a base kingdom. It shall be the basis of the kingdoms, neither shall it exalt itself anymore above the nations, for I will diminish them, that they shall no more rule over the nations. This is how y'all cursed the Egyptians because of what they did to the Israelites. And Egypt is still a base nation. They're not one of the strongest nations in the world. They're one of the basest of nations, the lowest of lowest. Okay? So this just proves Yah's word, what he said, he who touches Israel touches the apple of my eye. So these are just examples of what Yah has done to some nations in the past because of what they had done to the Israelites. And my last scripture, family, will be in Isaiah chapter 13. Isaiah chapter 13, verse 20. And this one right here is down here. As far as now, this is Yah predicting, the outcome of Babylon because of what they did to the Israelites. Isaiah chapter 13, down here, verse 20. It shall never be inhabited, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. That was the curse Yah put on the country, the nation of Babylon, because of what they did to the Israelites. And to this day, that land is still not occupied. That old land of Babylon, where King Nebuchadnezzar had his throne. Okay? And here's also another part of the curse Yah put on the nation of Babylon. This will be Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 64. Jeremiah chapter 51, verse 64. And it says here, and thou shalt say, thus shall Babylon sink and shall not rise from the evil that I will bring upon her, and they shall be weary. Thus far are the words of Jeremiah. So Yah cursed Babylon to never rise up to be a nation again. Okay? But, Babylon means confusion, family, for all those who didn't know that. Babylon means confusion. And so what's going on around the world is a lot of confusion. So this whole world system is Babylon. You know what I'm saying? A lot of confusion. All kinds of religions. And you got like America dropped 30,000-pound bombs on Iran last year, and they didn't even retaliate. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, wow. I mean, it's just so much confusion with these nations. So the whole world is a Babylonian type of system, a system of just mass confusion. You know what I'm saying? But Yah is just shaking things up. He's just using Trump to do it. You know what I'm saying? Because all these nations must pay recompense and retribution for what they have done to Yah's chosen people from one time or another throughout the history of this world. Okay, so he's just stirring things up. He's got to choose somebody to stir things up. You know what I'm saying? So this is their heaven, and he's shaking it up right now. Okay, because of what they have done to the apple of his eye. That's why the nations are having so much trouble. But this is only the beginning. Okay, so family, so until next time, may Yah bless each and every last one of you. I'm Brother Judah Israel. Stay safe, one love, and shalom.